Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Airport Board meeting for September 4th, 2025. If we could just stand for the invocation and pledges, please. Mr. Brooks. Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Amen.
Raise the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, for our roll call, let's go start from right to left. Mr. Julius Buckley, and he's the Mayor Pro Tem. Next to him, Dickie Harbor, board member. Mr. Eddie Lowry, board member. To my right is the City Secretary, Juanita. I'm Hugh McFarland, I'm the chairman. This is Mr. Eric. Is Airport Manager, Greg Model, board member, and Jake Litwin, board member. Thank you. All right, we're going to have a opportunity for some public comments. Thank you all for showing up. It's always good to see, tenants and users of the airport out here to join in our business. So it's, we're a voluntary advisory board. We don't make policy. We recommend to the city to make policy. So that's our role. And we can't do it without, input from the actual users of the airport. So we'll talk, I have to read a certain agenda. So for this, it says, any person with city-related business may speak to the airport board. In compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, the airport board may not discuss or vote on any matter raised in public unless it is specifically on the agenda. To speak during a board meeting, you must be recognized by the proceeding officer. And so that's what I'm formally doing. And Mr. Johnny Whitson, you're number one. And we still remember what you called us last time. So.
Yes, I'm not gonna use that word.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I got so much chest space.
All right.
I just want to say that whoever picked Eric as the airport manager, you should be.
Yeah.
This guy is the guy we needed at the airport. He has been over to talk to me multiple times. We've discussed a lot of things. He's very open-minded. He's willing to learn. I know he doesn't know everything. I know he's not coming directly from an airport background. But you guys did a really good job in finding this guy. And I think he's going to be a great asset to the Cleveland Airport. And that's all I got to say.
All right. Thank you, Johnny. Yeah. Thanks. Mr. Steve Waters, please.
Good afternoon, thanks. Just want to echo Johnny's comments as well. I work in airport operations for Houston. That's what I do for a living. Met with Eric, offer Dickie, of course, previously as well. Any help, I'm ready to assist with whatever we need to make the city of Cleveland operates the airport safely, and I know everything we need to do. But I just want to clarify that we're still here. Glad Eric's here, open, willing to, ready to get going, all that good stuff. So the only complaint, not a complaint, that I had to discuss was the rent. I did go out to pay up. I'm one of the guys that likes to pay 6 months, 3 months. Got close to a year up at one time, and I just wanted to understand, because that's how I do my bills. I pay them in advance. And I understand we weren't taking payments after October, is that correct? Oh, okay. And then okay, I didn't know if it was discussion or not. On the increase, I understand that everyone's.
We are going to talk about that, yes.
Yeah,
But it's-
the
yes.
increase, everything's fine. I would just like to propose or request that we do it on a percentage basis, not just a dollar amount. I'm in one of the old hangars, happy with the old hangar. It's right by a water spigot.
Right.
It is one of the oldest ones out there. Obviously, it's cheaper, but I would think the fair thing to do is to do the increases on a percentage. On everybody's expired agreement, it had percentage increases in there. That was fair.
Right.
Whatever we do, I would like to propose that percentage increase rather than just a flat rate. 'Cause, anyway, that's it.
Yeah, thanks, and thank you for helping with the NOTAM setup and all that.
Oh,
I
yeah,
know-
yeah, we got plenty more
Yeah.
work to, yeah, no problem.
I
No problem.
appreciate your
We're gonna help
your
increase that.
assistance on that.
Yeah, we'll
I
get it.
heard
done.
about that, thank you.
No problem.
And then on your, the month-to-month thing, we can bring it up when we discuss the agreement and contract, if you have questions on it. on the
Sure,
agenda.
sure. Yeah, no, I'm happy. That's all I've got is I'd just like to request the
Yeah.
consideration of percentage rather than flat.
Yeah, the percentage is more proportionate.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
a raise, an increase, needs to be proportionate, and a flat dollar amount would not, be that. And that would be one of our recommendations, is any increases be in a percentage basis,
Yeah,
because
that's
it's a proportionate type adjustment.
Everything goes up, nothing goes
Yeah.
down.
Good, thank you.
Even, well, planes go come down,
Yeah.
gracefully though.
Yes, all right.
Thanks.
Thank you, Steve. And Mr. Larry Elliott, please.
Good evening, I'm Larry Elliott. Last time they had me say I live in Kingwood, but I've had an airplane at the airport for the last 5 years. So I have an interest in what goes on in the airport. I spoke last month, and I spoke too long, and I had to stop speaking. But the last thing I wanted to say, I'm going to say tonight, and that is that I think Johnny Whitson does not get enough recognition for all that he does for the Cleveland Airport. Without Johnny, that place would not be the same. It would not be the same whatsoever. And I'll give you a few examples. When there's an incident out there, when an airplane has a problem on the runway, who do they call? Who comes to the rescue? Johnny.
Right.
I've seen it happen 2 or 3 times. He was just explaining to me that he and Eric were involved in an incident over the weekend where somebody couldn't get a hangar door open. And this went on for 2 days. And who do they call? Johnny. And Johnny got involved, as usual, to help resolve the issue. And that's a recurring thing that Johnny does, and I want to make sure that the city knows and all the commissioners know what a contribution he makes to the airport. You may know that the Cleveland High School built an airplane. We built an V-12. I was a mentor. The teacher there called the airport looking for people to come out and help mentor the kids that are building an airplane. I built an airplane myself, so I was happy to volunteer. So at the end of the last school year, the airplane was finished. We didn't have a place to put it. It had to have flight tests, and it had to have kids. We wanted to give all the kids that participated a ride in it, and we didn't have a place to put it. There were no hangars available. So what do? We went to Johnny. Johnny gave us a hangar. And he does all this stuff. He never gets paid. He never gets a cent for all he does for the airport. So that's what I wanted to emphasize, and I want everybody to recognize Johnny's contribution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Larry. And that's, I know when I came to the airport, it's been probably 24 years since I've been at Cleveland. And, Johnny's one of the first guys you meet out there, and he's always helped me with, maintaining airplanes. And, the resource of aviation knowledge is virtually unlimited with him. So we are, as an airport, we are very fortunate to have someone like that at the airport. And I think what Larry says is it goes unmentioned, and thank you for sharing that. All right, reports and comments from board members. Let's start with Mr. Julius Buckley.
No comment today.
No comments? Diggy?
Hey, welcome aboard, Eric.
Yeah.
You're doing good out there. Thank you.
I have no comment.
Right? Jake, you have any comments?
No, we can get on to discussion.
Okay, all right. Mr. Model?
I just want to welcome Eric also and echo what Larry and Steve and everybody else has said. Also, Johnny is invaluable too, so I want to add my 2 cents to that. Nothing else.
Yep. And Eric's going to speak in a moment, and I would like to say the same thing. When I went to meet Eric on his first day, it was obvious that he had the right attitude as far as wanting to make the airport better, wants to be, his background in the military is honorable, and it's in airport operations, and so that's what we need. That's vital. We need someone that's, kind of speaks aviation and airport management to be out there, and we're excited to have you out there, Eric. And one other thing, I just want to reiterate a comment I made earlier. We are a voluntary advisory board to the city of Cleveland, and there's maybe been some miscommunications, maybe out of the last meeting. I don't know where that came from, but it was presented to me that we're an advisory board to the city. We don't make the policy here. We don't, when we vote on things, we're voting to recommend to the city council that then they make their policy decisions. So I just want to make that clarification, because there's some people may think that we're the deciding factor on some of this. We're on this board because we have an interest in the airport. Like I said, I've been a tenant out there for 24, 25 years, been in aviation for most of my entire life, and a lot of us here have similar backgrounds, but there's also several on the board, about 50%, that are not tenants out there, but they're community members, and so they have a valuable stake in the airport as well. So we have a good mix, and I think I want to just emphasize the importance of the mix that we have at the airport. We need subject matter experts, so to speak, as us tenant and pilots and operators of the airport, as well as people that live near the airport and are part of the community. So thank you for that. And that takes us to item 5, the manager's report. Mr. Eric.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank city management for giving me this opportunity and trusting me with this position. I really, I appreciate it. Secondly, I also want to, just meeting with Johnny the few weeks I've been here. He is a tremendous asset with the city airport, and if I had any questions or how to get in touch with somebody, I'd talk to Johnny, and he'll give me to the person I need to talk to. So thank you for that. So since I've been here, we had over 2,500 operations for the last few weeks. That says a lot for this small airport that we have. It's real busy, a lot busier than I thought it was, especially with all the training flights that are coming through there. Also, one thing that I want to note that we recently received an email from TxDOT saying that they're doing an impact study. So you'll see a truck out there doing a survey for that. I'll push it out to all the tenants, let them know that it's happening, and we'll put out a NOTAM for Saturday and Sunday, because they'll be on the active conducting that economic impact study or survey.
Would that go to close the airport, or will that just aware of it?
Yeah, it'll just be aware. So we're not going to close any active. So I've given a time to execute whatever he needs to. So it will have no impact on operations. So, but there'll be a NOTAM out there just in case somebody's out there during that time that he's out there conducting his survey. There's some maintenance issues that we're still trying to address. And like this weekend, we got them figured out. So both the hangars that were in op, the doors we had them fixed. So everything right now is currently fixed. And I know that we're going to start a maintenance program where any maintenance problem that you have, we'll have an email. I'll push it out after this meeting. So if you have any type of maintenance issue with the hangars, you'll send it to that email. And then we'll also do periodic inspections for, just to try to catch some of these maintenance issues before, they're a problem. And also here, just been conducted some runway inspections, and noticed that we had a few lights. Parts have been ordered for that to get those things back serviceable. And then, if you notice, the windsock is now nice and red out there and blowing in the wind, right? So we got some of those things that were just little ankle biters, getting them knocked out and making it safe, for everybody that uses our airport. Essentially, that's all I have right now for manager's report.
On the reference to the windsock, has anyone noticed, and I'll kind of turn to people, other pilots, I've noticed on the AWOS, say the wind will stay calm or whatever it's reporting, but the windsock just a little bit further south is anything but calm. Has anybody else noticed the kind of so you've seen some of that?
It's in a protected area, it's awful close to the trees.
Okay. I'm wondering if we could, maybe, that could be something that could be looked at, calibrated, moved, trees cut or something to where we get an accurate.
Yeah, we could look at maybe a placement of that different location to get a more accurate reading for our AWOS.
Right. And that comes into play oftentimes when we have so much pattern work at the airport. People come from other airports and, our designated calm wind runway is 1-6. And, the AWOS is saying 1-6, or calm, but the windsock's truly favoring 3-4. So it creates a situation where, is the wind is it really calm, or are these people just ignoring our calm wind runway or whatnot? So, yes, Larry?
Do you know the source, does anybody know the source of the AWOS?
Well, that's what Ms. Street was saying. It's
I'm saying that the wind could affect the windsock, but what about the guys that make up the AWOS and they say it's calm, and when in fact the windsock shows that's not correct? So maybe the AWOS information is incorrect.
Well, that's what I'm thinking it needs to be looked at, where that's taking that reading. If it's not a good representative sample of the wind. Because the windsocks I've seen, I was out there and said the wind was calm, and you go look at the windsock, just south of the terminal building, and it's clearly not calm. I mean, it's partially, so that's about a 10-knot wind, right?
What I'm suggesting is maybe the AWOS needs to be changed rather than the windsock.
Yeah,
That's what I'm thinking it is. So,
The AWOS is way out of date. And with the ALP that they're doing right now, one of their recommendations is to have that upgraded.
okay,
Right now, there is a contract with the FAA and AWOS. Just call that guy, his number. He's the one that does the maintenance on it. We pay him to do it, and the FAA inspects it twice a year. So we have all the logs and everything's there. It's just get him out there, and he can go out there and run a diagnostic on it real quick.
yeah, that's all, that's what I wanted to, I'm sure there was some kind of protocol or some kind of, but it's clearly a conflict sometimes, so that would be helpful for just a safety aspect.
But that thing's, I think it's 20, 30 years old.
Oh, I'm sure.
Right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, the last time that when I talked to the inspector out there, he said the components that are on it are so outdated that when one of them does stop working, there's no replacement. So
Right.
it'll have to be upgraded. So that's why the ALP is going to recommend that as well.
Okay, great, thank you, Dickie. All right, moving on to item 6, the consideration of possible action on the following. Approve the minutes from the July 16th special airport board meeting. Do we have a motion to,
Yeah, I make a motion, we approve the minutes from the July 16th meeting, special
Second.
airport board.
second? All right, motion passed, thank you. All right, so that moves us on, discussion of possible recommendations to council on the following. Whoop. We have to vote? Oh, we motioned it, I'm sorry, all right.
Yeah, motion.
All in favor of approving those minutes? All right, thank you. I'm still new at this, so just help me out, yeah, thank you very much. All right, item 7, discussions regarding safety concern of vehicle operations and mowers. We had a pretty lengthy discussion and with videos and attempted videos last meeting on this because we've had incidents in the past where we've had mowers conflict with aircraft operations on the runway, and we all agree that that's a serious safety situation, and we want to establish some standards of operations in regards to that. Mr. Model was kind of spearheading that, and I know Eric had, when I spoke to him the first day, he mentioned that he wants to establish some protocol on that. So, go ahead. ahead, Eric.
So I have established an SOP for grass cutting operations through the airfield. NOTAM has been published from now until November 1st. And it's, the first part of the day is from, I think, 8 to noon, something like that. So we are doing training now, a training program for our public works personnel to get training from me, how to enter the runway. We're still needing equipment that we're going to gather for more radio so they could listen to, but we have come up with a communication system where I can let them know that, aircraft are inbound, and I'll let, Cleveland traffic know that there is, whenever I hear somebody come in, I'll let them know that lawn cutting operations will be occurring during their, while they're in and around the airfield.
Well, I did have a recommendation that we had proposed last time, but because it was only a discussion item, we did not have I guess it wasn't protocol or in accordance with the procedures to vote on that, to send that to the city council for, approval. I don't know if we need to throw it up, that document, that if we could put it up again. It is the recommendation that we had put out in July the 16th. I'm really glad to hear that Eric has taken the initiative to what sounds like address most of that. My thought is I think whatever we do, we need to codify it so that, because people change. We already had 3 managers in a year here, and hopefully this will be a long-term relationship that we have with Eric, but one never knows, right? These things happen. And so I think the way, particularly with safety issues, the way that we are able to ensure some consistency and stability over time is if we codify those things, either in the airport rules or in whatever way that we need to. And so I think, even though Eric's taken his initiative to accomplish much of what was put on this draft, I still think we need to have a formal training program written out so that it's always there to be done by whoever is sitting in the chair, that there is a system oversight and compliance and those things that are there. So I think it still merits. I would hope to vote on that as a recommendation to City Council from the board. And so I would propose that we continue to go forward with that.
Do we feel that we have the information to, vote on that tonight? I mean, are we?
I don't think so, because we haven't seen anything. We haven't been given anything to prove, to read through or to do it. But if, like you're saying, if there's, combined and then printed out as an attachment, for us to review for the next meeting would be awesome.
Well, if I could kind of respond to that real quick. The proposal doesn't say that we draft it and put it together as a board. We're simply identifying a need to be accomplished. And then if the city council, as I understand it, concurs with that, then the action would then go to either Mr. Tipton or Mr. Galindo, and then they would actually flesh that out. We're available, as I would see it, as experts to assist if that's asked for. But I wouldn't see us as being the ones doing the legwork for it. We're just identifying a need, and particularly identifying that we have an FAA advisory circular that gives a lot of guidance in there that we probably don't even need to dabble into. So I think this is just simply saying, here's a need, here's an action to accomplish it, and if Eric will take care of that, or whoever the city decides, that's really what I'm proposing. So I don't know if that answers your question.
No, that does.
Okay.
Okay, so then by the next meeting, we'll have that on the agenda as a discussion and recommendation to vote on that.
I mean, these are just recommendations for the 3 that y'all would like to see having a safety feature on, correct? That's what I'm understanding.
Yes.
Just having written out stuff for each one.
Right.
And this is just the gist of that chapter of each one.
Yeah, not the specifics, that would be up for the
Yeah, so this
city
is just so I would see this as a recommendation, since we can all read it real fast. If y'all are good with that, then I'm good with the recommendation for, to send it to council or to send it to Eric to start working on it. I mean, that's my recommendation on it, because it's not, y'all aren't given actual, this is what we need to do, this is just what
Right.
we want to see start working on.
Just want something formalized in
So
writing
everyone-
so that
Yeah, no, I'm good with that.
for now and in the future, that we have a safety protocol, an SOP formalized for the airport for authorized vehicles.
Yeah,
Yes,
I don't
sir.
even think y'all need to recommend that. That's something that we'll work on. Because I think it's something needed as well. We'll go ahead and start some type of SOP protocols. Eric will reach out to the experts on that so we can try to get something on the books. Where it can be used, that would be basically our standardized operating that we would use from this point forward. So if Eric decides to take a better job, then whoever comes in behind him will have a book to go by. So I wouldn't even need to say y'all would need to recommend that. That's something that we can work on from this point
So you're
forward.
saying we do not need to,
No, we'll work on that.
you're already working on
Yeah,
that, and
absolutely.
it's going to be,
Okay.
that can be incorporated into the airport rules and regulations,
And,
right?
and I'll, it's already drafted, I already have, so I even have a certificate, so whenever whoever I, lay the training out to, there's a certificate that the Public Works member signs, so we'll have that there on, for record. So, I'll push it out to the board members and, take a look at it, and if any recommendations that we need to add to it, or take away whatever, deem regulatory, we could do that, but I do have a draft.
Okay.
I should have brought it so I could, show everybody, but that one's on me. But it's already out. I could send it, first thing tomorrow morning.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bolden, do you have a comment?
No, that satisfies my intent.
Does it?
So,
Okay,
yes,
great.
thank you.
That's wonderful. That's what we need. Just, it's all about safety. We're not, it's what it's all about. Okay, moving on to item 8, the discussion on traffic pattern mitigation options. Could you please load up my PowerPoint, please? This subject has been discussed for quite some time. I've been on the board for, I guess, a couple of years now, and in this position is just as a few months. But the discussion was that the traffic pattern gets saturated from other flight schools that come here to operate, in our airport traffic pattern, which is it's a public use airport. We can't say don't come here. Myself personally, I fly out of the airport often, but not as many as some do. At times it's been busy, and it's just a busy, uncontrolled airport, and there's procedures for that. I personally haven't had an issue with, the traffic pattern being excessive, but I understand there's people that have voiced that concern. So we came up with, we talked about this a year or so ago. This is one of the things that I drafted, and is just a starting point that we can talk about. But before we even get to that, is this an isolated thing, or is it everybody that flies there? Is this a real issue for us to really pursue? Yes, sir. Right, that's really, okay. I think we all have dealt with that, but routinely. So, yes, sir.
I just wanted to make sure, since you and Greg are in the know here, that everybody in the room knows that y'all are aircraft controllers, aircraft control experts. So when it's brought up, it's not just random
Correct,
knowledge.
right,
Here knows your background.
right. Yeah, my first job in the FAA was an air traffic controller at a very busy VFR tower where it was, it made this airport look slow. But we had Embry-Riddle was the flight school there, and they had 52 airplanes. So it was very pattern saturation. I'm very familiar with, and I know Mr. Model, his background in the FAA is lengthy. Yes, sir. Right. Right. Correct.
They can do, they can control the ground operation. And like, there's been notice of other airports, they use no touch.
Right.
Put it out there. Sometimes it turns into a real different mess, depends on.
Right. Right.
maybe, maybe not. But it's hard for the city to force.
Right, we are, it's an uncontrolled airport, right? So, I mean, it is an uncontrolled airport, and there's procedures that we all, as pilots, know how to handle an uncontrolled airport. This is something, if you want to read what's up on there, that I suggested a while back. Without a control tower, anything that we do is going to be somewhat voluntary compliance by the users, right? We can't, short of, saying no touch and goes, and then we'd have to, that's probably another battle we'd have to, face somewhere. This is something that I just came up with, just from my background, and I'm just floating this out to the board to look at, and something that we could post in, on our, in FAA publications like the AFD, on the electronic flight bags for flight, and on the AirNav is, just another site. There's information on these sites that have airport comments, recommendations, procedures and stuff that could be listed to where users could be made aware of. Plus, in our local situation, we could reach out to, we know all the flight schools out there, and the city could draft a letter and send out to them and ask for their voluntary compliance on it. And what this is really just a way of, if there's X amount of airplanes in the flight pattern, I mean, as we come in there, we know we can see who's on there, who's in the pattern. We can hear on the radio. And with the, the onboard traffic and stuff that we have most of us flying with, it's pretty simple to see what's out there. So if you're on a final approach, coming to land, whether you're in the pattern or an itinerant operator, if there's so many, and I just used 5 as, I think, as a starting point. If there's 5 aircraft in the pattern, you're making a full stop, or you're going to do a touch and go missed approach and then leave the pattern and come back at another time. Or you're going to make a full stop landing. If you want to go do more pattern work, you're going to taxi back and enter the pattern again. And that's a way of self-managing a traffic pattern to where it doesn't get too extended. Aircraft are not circling on the downwind, and that's proposes another conflict. And it keeps a more manageable amount of airplane in the pattern where people can see and avoid a little bit easier. Outside of something like this, I don't know what we could recommend to the city to do. Any comments on, I mean, you can see what's written there.
I agree with Steve. So I spoke with the FAA FASO team. We actually called them out when Dustin said, to reach out to those guys. They said the exact same thing you said. Once that plane takes off, we're an we're a non-towered airport. We have no authority over that plane. Right. If they're on the ground, yes, they're on our property. We can have it all stop. We can do whatever we want. We can halt. We can hold you. But once the plane's in the air, there is no authority. And this is all good, and you can do that, but you can only make it as a recommendation.
Correct.
If you set it as a policy, then the FAA is going to rip us apart.
Well, that's why it's a voluntary. It has to be stated that way.
I agree with that part. It's got to be voluntary.
Because we can't, regulate that, and we're not. But just a letter to the flight schools, and if they were aware of our knowledge of how busy this pattern gets up here, and I would think that a lot of these schools would adhere to it. Yes, sir. Right. Mm-hmm.
Probably what we could say we have to be on board with would be just addressing maybe the board, we do it, contact the flight schools, give them flight track data, we can pull up and show, 50 aircraft in an hour and a half, and then, we're just asking.
And what's good about that is we've got about 8 months of Aero 1200 data now, which will show us exactly by hour, by day, how many planes are landing, taking off, and in the pattern. So we've got about 8 months of data on that now, and that could actually be supported to get a tower.
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
because as busy as we're getting and we're growing, continue to grow.
Right.
It's just hard to get it to, and I've experienced that, halfway hard up waiting for people to, you can't even get out your arms and sit with the approaches, just trying to get out, we're so tight on each other. You can't even get out, I'm there with everybody on it, it's just the enforcement piece, because
Right,
the
they're-
bottom line is they don't have to do it.
Correct, there's no enforcement piece to it, and I know I've been sitting at the approaching a 1/6 with guys, and I'll just rock it, hey, you guys make a spot for me to get out, and they, every time they said, sure, I'll extend down a little bit. Everybody's pretty been cooperative that I've seen, yes, sir.
Have we approached AOPA and asked them, we can't be the only small airport that's had a congestion problem.
Oh, no.
We're not.
We're not,
We're not.
Have we approached the AOPA, they're the largest organization out there, they're the gorilla.
right.
Go, what have you seen others do?
Like I said, I don't know if everybody would be, the city would definitely have to be on board with this.
Yeah.
If there was a backlash,
Yeah,
but there's, they do no touch of their operation.
yeah. And I don't think we want to go that far. That's why I'm thinking something along this line, some voluntary by the users. Greg, you're doing flight instruction out there all the time, and what's your comment on this?
I think it gets very busy, and it is very hard, especially if you have a low-time student who's uncomfortable with heavy traffic, for them to actually do any learning in that kind of an environment. So we end up going to another airport. But I will also say, to the points that have been made, there's a tremendous amount of courtesy that goes on among the instructors and the students out there. Everybody seems to be very tuned in to who needs to get in and out. And so at least in the instruction community, so to speak, I think there's a lot of cooperation that I've seen lately helping out. Now, that still doesn't mean it's easy to get in and out if you're an itinerant. You're a hanger, you need to go on a cross-country. I can see at certain times of the day, it's hard to get out. I've kind of made some suggestions on this a few times in the past. I first of all believe this is a good problem to have. We have a lot of interest in aviation. People are wanting to learn to fly. It's great for general aviation to have this kind of a problem. Now, we still need to deal with it. I think the way to start is to have all of the stakeholders meet and have an informal, ground-up kind of a solution offered. We don't know what their business models are. We don't know what their options are. And to me, starting off before we were to issue a top-down kind of a suggestion, perhaps broach the subject and start there and say, okay, how do we come up with a solution cooperatively among all the different flight schools at the different airports to create a safe issue where we don't have a mid-air collision, because I hate to say this, but the odds of that happening are high in a situation that's not mitigated. So, but I think everybody's got that interest. We need to start off with a conversation. And if we don't have any success doing that, then that opens the door to do something like this.
That was, because recently I thought maybe someone had reached out to someone, but
Well,
two times I had been coming in, and then there's, we're in a pattern, and I hear them talk and say, yes, we're gonna peel off, go ahead and line it. And I was like, I hadn't had that happen.
yeah, yes, sir.
I just shot straight in.
Multi-engine training is a joke. A lot of times, they take the runway, they announce that they're taking off, they go on the runway, they abort. You got a plane on the runway, then on short final, I'm going around because they're doing abort on the runway.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen that. I know they're pretty quick on the abort and take off. I've seen that. My hangar's right next to that, and I hear them all the time. I'm like, oh, what just happened, and then and then they're gone. So, yeah, that's going to be a nature of multi-engine training, is those single-engine aborts that's what they have to do on a check ride. But I guess we just need to make sure that we're careful with spacing ourselves on those aircraft, and I don't know if yes, sir.
I had one more comment. I think there's been some attempts, maybe Dick, you've done it, I know John Williams did it when he was the chair, of reach outs to individual flight schools. Yes. The problem with that is, even though they may be willing to do something, they're not gonna hurt themselves competitively if everybody else is filling the gaps they just gave up.
Right.
It has to be a collective agreement among all of the schools together, and then they're kind of accountable to each other with that commitment. I think that's the secret of success in this situation. But if you just go to one school and they do it for 2 weeks, and then their competitor at another airport is filling the slots, and going, why am I doing this?
Right.
And so it just kind of evaporates and it loses its traction.
Yeah, and that's one, I think, one advantage of something like this, where it's pretty non-discriminatory. I mean, there's nobody, it's just what it is, it's just a numbers thing. If the pattern has got 4 or 6 aircraft in it, everybody's making a full stop, and let it regenerate again. And so,
I can stop by out there and show you how we can pull all this data, and then we can show the exact times of each day of when it is congested. Because I know it's not all day, every day.
and we could maybe even put, days of the week, Monday through Friday.
This is what we're seeing is the
8 to
most
6,
congested time.
limited,
Please adjust
Right, yeah.
if you
Very,
can.
real quickly, we gotta move on. Yes, sir.
I've had occasion to call the flight schools for EA Young Eagle events, and they are, for the most part, very cooperative. They want to have a Young Eagle event, please don't do your training here today from 10 to 2.
Right.
They always are cooperative. So
Yeah.
maybe following Greg's suggestion, get in touch with all of them, get everybody together and have a meeting and have a discussion. There's 3 or 4 other airports they could use. I don't understand why they all come here.
Well, they're elsewhere too. I mean,
Yeah.
I went to
And-
Huntsville the other day, and it was just like Cleveland. I mean, it was,
And like you said, Larry, we went and talked to all of them, and then 3 months later, it's right back to the way it is, and then you talk to them again, and it slows, and then 3 months later, it picks.
Yeah.
And I think it's because exactly what you said, Greg. Well, if these 2 ain't doing it, these other schools,
Right.
then why am I doing it? I'm not gonna be the only one.
yes, sir.
I just want to say something about, the reason that the airport is here is to bring people to the city of Cleveland. So I want to be real careful about a letter sent out saying, don't come to Cleveland. I just want to manage that image correctly. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Agreed. All right, steps forward after this. Oh, yes, Johnny.
I hate to put a wrench in this whole program, but it's gonna get worse before it gets better. Huntsville is fixing to close down for 3 months. So what happens now in Conroe, when the groups leave, is a group of them goes to Cleveland, a group of them goes to Huntsville.
Right.
So now, whenever they close that down, all of them are coming to Cleveland.
Yeah.
So it's gonna get worse before it gets better. That's gonna be for 3 months. So
Okay.
I'm not being a naysayer, but that's.
Right, well, that's information we are gonna feel the impact of that. And I know, just because our proximity to Conroe and Hooks, where most of the flight schools are, they're gonna,
I think probably one of the, because I don't think the city would want to go through publishing anything or getting the FAA involved in it, it's going to make it worse
No.
and more bureaucratic.
right.
But you can put something on that, AWOS. So if they could publish something to limit,
Yeah, we could,
I think that would, and because they're not going to read them the remarks of the AFT.
well, most of us use ForeFlight, and it's right here. It talks about our Conwind runway. And we could add it in there. Yeah, again, it's voluntary. You're not going to catch everybody. We don't have a control tower to enforce these kinds of things. But over time, and messages on the AWAS, on the comments section, information would get out. It's something we have to consider. We just, we don't want.
Be aware, busier than usual airport.
Right, yeah, and it's, yeah. Right.
Yeah, and it was tough at one of the schools because they really didn't have like a chain of command, so to say. It was just the instructors with their students, and there was just one guy that kind of scheduled everything. And it was up to the individual instructor to come and say, hey, this is when we're flying, this is when we're doing it. And they don't, from what I've seen at the one school, they don't even really talk to each other.
No, they're competitors, and they're not gonna, they're not gonna wanna give up, for someone else's gain. That's just the nature of that business. So where do we go from here on this? Do we wanna just continue to kind of push this forward and talk about it next time, and we're not at a point to necessarily adopt this, I don't believe. But I'll ask, board members, users of the airport, if you have any suggestions or comments on this topic, to let your voice be, we can't, we have some limitations. Yes, sir?
Adopt it, it's voluntary.
Yeah,
All they can say is, to hell with it.
yeah,
Go ahead and adopt it, and let's see what happens.
yeah,
It might work. You'll
Okay.
still get people coming in. The problem is, City of Cleve's got too many coming all at the same time.
right,
And they're not staying there, just using their runway.
yeah.
But go ahead and adopt it. Not to take anybody off, it says voluntary management, and it says one big word, a really important, safety.
Right.
You say that S word, it has a lot of meaning in most of these flight schools. Worst thing they have is have them there.
Right.
You know that too.
They need to,
I say go ahead and adopt the thing and see.
Well, and part of this could be, just like the second paragraph says, a letter could be drafted from the city and sent to all the area flight schools, and just lay it out there just right like
No.
that, to the flight schools. And then,
even this right here, Eric, I would send to Kat first at TxDOT, so she can review it. She can call Gary up at Airport Compliance, just to make sure that we're not exceeding any of our grant assurances, and then vote to publish it. But I would definitely get TxDOT and FAA's recommendation on it too as well.
okay, so let's do, for the sake of moving along, Eric, if I could ask you to, if you need more information from Dickie on, running this up the flagpole at TxDOT, and is really who we're going to answer to. I don't see any problem with the traffic, voluntary thing.
Yeah,
but-
for sure. Yeah, we'll definitely reach out to FAA and then TxDOT and make sure that we're not violating anything,
Okay.
as far as grant-wise, and just make sure it's
All right.
kosher for what we're doing.
Okay, good, and then we'll put that on the next agenda for a recommendation to,
And city manager, anything?
I think what we'll do is if y'all can provide us with a list of all the known flight schools and stuff that utilize that, we could draft something up with some maybe verbiage that y'all would want to put in that. We'll run it past the needs to knows to make sure we're in compliance, and then I don't think there's really a big problem. Again, it's voluntary.
right,
If they agree to it, I don't have a problem sending something out, allowing people to be a little more safe in the sky.
excellent. Okay, thank you very much.
And they have, like you mentioned earlier, Greg, there's an entire FAA order or safety advisory on operations at non-towered airports. And so, that's a good place to start also for information.
And we don't want to go on necessarily a fishing expedition, to get too bureaucratic and go, but we do want to, we want to protect our users at the airport, and that's what we need to do. All right, now moving along, number 9 was brought up, discussion regarding on-site familiarization. Mr. Eddie Lowry had mentioned this to me a while back. He said, could we have maybe a meeting or a board, or just a meeting at the airport to discuss, I guess, how to and, how things are done at the airport, and if someone can help me with what you mean by on-site familiarization and overview management. I didn't understand that.
There's a couple of us on the board, and I'm sure some folks here in the city that doesn't understand a lot about the airport. I worked at Intercontinental Airport for 19 years, and there's different things on the airport that some of us do not know about. For instance, last time we had a meeting, we didn't know where the generator was. Just on-hands operation of just walking around the airport, looking at different terminal buildings, locations of equipment, the AWAS system, the AirSoc, and so forth, just to familiarize the board and anybody that would like to just come to the airport and walk with us, put our hands on things and say, hey, this is what this is, and this is how it works, and why we have to have it. I think it would be beneficial. It's just an opinion.
Okay. Do we need to have a formal meet and greet at the airport for that? Or, I mean, can we just get together on a Saturday morning and say this?
Is it permissible to have a regular meeting at the airport and just have a different venue, or is there, how's the law or ordinances read with the city? Does it have to be in here, or can we do
You can have an event and everybody can be there and show, you just can't discuss something that might be the agenda or business that's going on at the airport, but showing you different locations, items that are wrong, or where different things are located, and no, it's just, you can label it as an event.
Okay, and
Or
I
a
think
work-
that would.
Or a workshop.
We could
That's
call
the
it a
two things.
workshop.
Workshop, because there's, I mean, how the fuel system works, how the.
Exactly.
All that would be beneficial for everybody on the board and anybody from the city.
It would
Mr.
just the
Tipton, did you
same,
have?
same rules would apply. It would just have to be posted 72 hours prior. There'll have to be an agenda, and it'll just say workshop. And then we
Okay.
can actually talk freely about the stuff amongst everybody without worrying about a quorum.
Mr. Tippett?
I would just suggest maybe we could potentially put some orientation schedules together, so Eric can be in the airport during the daytime, if somebody wants to come by, he can show them around. And also, whenever we do tenant sign-in for new hangers, we could have that part of that process as well, that he shows them around once they sign for hangers.
Okay. All right. Okay, so an event at the airport, a workshop, we'll work on putting something like that together. All right. Yes, absolutely, yeah. Okay, did you have something, Eric, you wanted to say?
So I've been approached already by a few people that are just interested with the airport, and just, I told them to come on down, please come on down, and I can walk you through, our facilities and any amenities that we have here that, we could, offer. And so I've been already approached by a bunch of people that want to come out and come see, and I invite them to whenever, I'm there, all day. So if anybody wants to get a tour of the airport, I'm there, and I'm willing and happy to show anybody there.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, next item is the discussion of recommendation on hangar rates. In full disclosure, there's some of us on the board that are intimately involved. We have hangars, we're hangar tenants out there, so just so the public knows that myself, I'm a hangar tenant. I've been there for almost 24 years. Mr. Model is a hangar tenant as well. Mr. Cabrera is not here, is a tenant out the airport. I believe no one else on the board is a tenant. Mr. Lippman's not, Dickey's not, Eddie Lowry's not. So we have about a 50-50 mix on, tenants as well as non-tenant board members. There was discussion on, that we heard, came to the board's attention that the city, that special meeting that we had was brought up mainly because folks from the city were saying that we're going to raise the rates to that of Conroe and Hooks. That never came from us. That came from folks from the city, and that's what it caught us all kind of off guard, and we went through, a lot of discussion and examples of where we're not like Conroe or Hooks. We're a rural country, county, city airport. So I think that's been well established. And then it was the mayor himself came out and said, this is all rumor. Hasn't been any talk about that. Well, it's still cropped up again that there was a push to raise rates by X amount of dollars a month. And so that led us to kind of discuss, well, where are we at in rate-wise? Could you please bring up my presentation on that? So to compare, to look at hangars rates and such, where we're at, you have to look at really a true competitor of us, and they're not as readily available. Liberty Airport, Tango 78, is a similar county, city airport with not a formal FBO, not with a private or corporate infrastructure, for-profit airport, like Cleveland is. Cleveland doesn't have that structure. Huntsville is a nearby airport. We mentioned Huntsville earlier in the traffic management discussion. That's an airport that's county or owned, but it's not run by the county. It's not like Cleveland. It has a private company that manages the airport, built the hangars, has a flight school there. They rent airplanes. They sell fuel, avgas, and Jet A, full service, self-service, and they have their own hangars, and they're a for-profit business. So that's not really a comparative airport either. Lufkin up the road is a similar type airport to us. So we went on a little field trip. This picture here is an airport at Liberty Airport. It's a relatively new T hangar with insulated ceilings, kind of like our GH&I hangars. Could you show the next slide, please? And this hangar is, these are 325, the same as our GH&I hangars. Plus they offer a discount if you pay in advance. So similar to hangars what we have, same price. Next slide, please. So again, I mentioned Huntsville, not really a competitive airport to us in types of management structure and such. So Lufkin is similar, but then you think of Lufkin as just a rural small country airport. This is a pretty significant airport. It's got 2 runways, 7 instrument approaches. We have 1 instrument approach. They also have an ILS approach, precision approach system there with approach lighting system. They sell self and full service Jet A and avgas. They have an on-site restaurant. That's the county owns the restaurant. They employ people there to work in their restaurant. They're no slough in the fuel sales either. They average 6,000 gallons a month in avgas and over 12,000 in Jet A sales. The next slide, please. Here's, we looked at the Liberty on some of our GH&I hangar comparables. These are the old hangars at Lufkin. They were built in the 90s. Our CDD hangars, our old hangars were built, Johnny, maybe you know how, I think they're almost 60 years old. At least 60 years old, okay? The price at Lufkin for those hangars is $195 a month. The next slide, please. And ours, CD&E hangars, we're at between $225 and $235 a month, and they're quite old. That light outside of my hangar hasn't worked since probably 5 or 6 years. There's a lot of the lights in the hangars are old, and people have done their own stuff to try to get it because they haven't been upkept or maintained by the city. So, next slide, please. This is an individual box hanger at Lufkin. It goes for $240 a month, and it's a full box hanger. And next slide, please. This is, I thought of Larry when I saw this. The EAA chapter up there did this pavilion thing. They have cookouts and stuff. I know our city has talked about having some kind of a common observation deck or something like that at the airport. This might be an idea of something that might be something we can look at in the future. But I thought it was kind of cool, nice to see. Next slide, please. The Lufkin also has, significant aircraft maintenance there. This is one of the multiple hangars that does aircraft maintenance. There's an avionics shop. There's quite a bit of hangar and operations there. They have quite a bit of offerings for the tenants and such. Next slide, please. So I don't believe, and open to suggestion from the board members, I don't think we're that far off on our rates at the airport. I don't, some hangars are a little bit more, some are a little bit less, but if you really compare apples to apples, we're not that far off. We understand that we haven't had a rate increase at at the airport for a while. We also are well aware that we went nearly 3 years with no airport lights. There was no credit offer, nothing as far as consideration to the tenants where we went without lights. You know, fortunate we didn't have an event out there. I know more than one time I went out and shined my vehicle headlights on the approach into 1-6, so I heard an aircraft coming in late at night when I was out working on my airplane. We were fortunate we didn't have something bad happen when we didn't have those lights. But I know a lot of people, tenants, you know, myself included, we haven't made a big deal about stuff not working because we feel like we're getting a pretty fair deal on the hangars. We're not going to cause, you know, a lot of complaints to the city and whatnot. But human nature is, if rates go up, I think the requests are going to go up. It's just my thought on that. You know, so I would like to request a motion to City Council to, if any increase to the master fee schedule for the airport tenant rates is decided by the City Council, that it not be a flat dollar amount, because that wouldn't be proportionate, but a percentage not to exceed 5%. I'm perfectly happy with the rate staying where they're at, but I understand, you know, things change, that we need to increase revenue. Another thing is, where does this revenue go? What are we getting for extra charges? You know, what are we getting for our money? So, any comments, suggestions on this topic from the board?
Last year around this time, we did bring up that we didn't increase rates because we weren't in compliance. And we did bring up that once we were in compliance, rates were gonna increase. The lights are all working. I know he's gotta fix a few now, so that's being maintenance. The fog removal is being taken care of a lot more now. And then I'm gonna jump just ahead to 11, just a quick, they're gonna add, I believe in the contract, where they're gonna have quarterly walk-arounds. So to look at all the hangars if stuff's about to go out and not, just so maintenance can be taken care of. And there's gonna be is it an email or a link where if you do have an issue and during the quarter walk, it wasn't an issue at the time, it will go to 3 emails, possibly 4, so that everybody in the upper management for the city knows that that problem has occurred. So it will be taken care of.
Excellent.
So there's other things that's gonna be in there also that works with it. So that's just some extra information for y'all also
Oh, thank you.
and then also on the runway, I know we got it redone, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
3 years ago, so we still have that going for us right now. So that's just a couple updates and a couple information, a little bit of information on it.
And I think we have a gem of an airport. I mean, we're out there because we like it. And I came from Conroe. I was at Conroe for a while when I moved back to Texas. But we like Cleveland Airport because of what Cleveland Airport is. We have a vested stake in it. We're fortunate and we like to be there. And so, Greg, did you have any comment on this because you're a tenant?
Well, I do have some questions, actually, also. I know historically, my understanding is that up until, I think Dickie was hired on as a city employee to manage the airport. Prior to that, a percentage, I don't know the exact percentages, but part of the manager's compensation plan was to have a percentage of the hangar and fuel sales. And then once the decision was made to change that and go with a salaried city employee, all of the income from the hangar rental as well as fuel sales went to the city. It's my understanding. No. To the airport. Okay. So that segues into my next question. So all of the funds and revenue that is collected, whether it be hangar rent, fuel sales, grants from the FAA, all of that is to be reinvested back into the airport. So that's correct, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then if there is knowing that now, if there is an increase in the rental, then what is the and it's gonna be reinvested back into the airport, what is that increased revenue going to yield for the tenants that are there?
Maintenance on the hangars, maintenance on the lights, which some of that is covered by the grants, but most of the grant, I believe, covers a lot of the fuel stuff throughout the year with the pumps and everything, which Dickie could probably answer that question.
Yeah, the insurance rates for the airport have dramatically risen over the last 8 years. So has the water, the power. We have a lot more hangars than these other airports that you've talked about. So therefore, our monthly cost in electricity is almost $6,000. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff running in these hangars. Payroll, there's a lot of stuff. There's only, each year, after all the costs are taken out with the budget, there's only like 20,000 left over. It's not much at all. And so, and that does get reimbursed, and thank goodness we have the ramp grant to assist us with maintenance on that cost. Lufkin is a regional airport. They get 3 times the amount of money we do. So they can afford that because they've got more money for upkeep. If we become a regional airport, we'll have all of that. We'll have all that extra money too, where we can do that.
Okay, thank you.
I think that would be great information, transparency-wise, for the airport tenants.
It's all online.
Okay,
The airport budget is online.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
year it is with the general fund budget, but next year airport will have its own separate budget to make it easier to understand what the fund balance is.
okay. So I've been at, and this is on me, okay, but I would tell you, I'm probably not the only one. I'm on the board here, and I've been a tenant at the airport for 12 years, and I was not aware of that. And thank you, I'm glad it's there, and that's on me, but that's my point, I think,
Yeah.
is for us to have
It just started when we took over.
okay, all right, so.
Before that, we couldn't do anything because it was.
Right, and that's good, that is good to know, but I'm saying we need to
Yeah.
communicate, this information is out there so that people can understand the need for whatever financial decisions are being made regarding rate increases. I think our ability to keep the tenants informed about the where and why and all of that is hugely important.
Turn off one of your ice boxes. Just kidding.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I hear you can walk up and down between the hangars and just hear the air compressors running, and nobody's even there, Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I turned my air compressor off, by the way, so it's not mine you hear running.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Because I'm
Yeah.
out there, I'm like, what is this noise?
Yeah.
What is this stuff?
yes, sir.
I'm just gonna say that we're one of the few airports that has the capability landscape-wise that we can add additional hangars with things that are truly needed for, other aviation coming in. But as we get hangars, they're already occupied before they're built.
Correct.
They already bring in income. We've got such a landscape out there that we're privileged to have, actually. Just so that is brought up, it wouldn't go, tour goes through there and looks at other things about the airport. That's something that, when hangars are erected, they're rented out before they're everything, and they're producing income immediately.
Yeah, and we've got over 100 people on the waiting list, and we have to honor the waiting list. And exactly what you talked about, the ALP is looking into that. The ALP, the engineers that are doing that, the 5, 10, 20-year growth for Cleveland, they are looking at that. They're looking at the land, they're looking at placement, they're looking at future growth. That is all currently in work. So once that's completed, that's going to help us in attaining the financing to get those hangars. Because right now, we don't have the money to do that. But
With that being said, EDC is funding
it takes a year.
trying to fund the construction of that, the additional hangars.
Mhm.
And the airport has to reimburse EDC for that, so we will not see that revenue until EDC is reimbursed for the purchase and the construction of that hangar.
So that's, I think, 5 years.
Well, the one, to kind of pull this back together, build them and they'll come. There's few industries and few businesses that is known as this. If you build hangars, you will rent those hangars.
So I love this, I love it, we need hangars,
And-
but you can't build on the, west side where the fence is? You can't
Right.
build hangars over there because then you're in the runway encroachment zone. So you can't put any hangars over there. There is no more property to be had on that
But
side.
north of the A hangar, why couldn't we go north of that on the east side?
And there's originally planned for that, so I mean,
Right.
that'll still continue,
Right.
negotiating, or the process.
Right.
We own 46 acres behind, at the end of 3-4, where the fence or the wood line is, there's 46 acres out there. The ALP is looking to see what we can do with that, because it is swampland. Has anybody been back there?
Yeah, we know it's lower on that
It's
end
swamp,
of
it's
the
10
airport.
feet lower
Right.
than the front,
Right.
so that's a lot.
But there are grants, there's state and federal grants that we can, hopefully Eric's gonna be,
And that's what the ALP is gonna
in search
really-
of, we can, but just the city can be pretty confident if they build hangars, they'll rent the hangars. And so that's a given. So I would like a requested motion to vote for the board to, if there's any increase to the master fee schedule by the city council, that we do it by a percentage and not to exceed 5%. Do I have anybody to vote on that?
I would second that.
You second that, okay. So I'd like to take a vote on this.
So,
Yeah, I don't know.
so this has already been approved by city council though, so there is going to be a rate increase. So the rate increase is going to be $50 from whatever you're paying now. And it's kind of segue into, number 11, but so it has been approved by city council for the rate increase. And okay.
So essentially, if they wanted to take a vote on this to recommend the council prior to approval, then that.
Okay, that's what we'd like to do then, because we think it's only fair and reasonable and proportionate that it be based on a percentage, not a flat dollar amount. And, because that is disproportionate if you do a dollar amount.
Yeah, no, sorry, I misspoke about that, but yeah, but doing, a comprehensive study will definitely, help, see if we could, what the appropriate amount to, to raise rates. And so, all on board, to make sure that we, for in the next FY, it's, definitely have a better comprehensive study to make sure we're, competitive with the increase.
Well, I find it interesting that just the last meeting 2 months ago, it was all rumor of a rate increase. And now the city council has that.
It wasn't rumor of the rate increase, it was rumor on who we're gonna compare it to.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Thanks for
what-
that clarification then, because it was,
My understanding it was, the rumor was about, we were gonna compare it to Hooks and Conroe.
But I didn't agree with that.
I got up in front of the board and said that was an absolute falsification. I never even saw anything about Conroe on it. The board did recommend Liberty and Huntsville, which we did reach out to both. I personally called Liberty to find out it's $295 if you pay in full, and it's $300 plus if you pay monthly.
yeah, 325, yes, sir. Yeah.
That's where we got our information.
Right. So we're kind of in line. I mean, we're not far off. And so I think what we have presented here is reasonable to take a vote on. So I'd like to take a vote. We've got a second motion to, do we have a second motion?
The second of the motion.
Okay, so the next is to vote, correct? I made the motion, Greg seconded it. So all in favor of what's stated here, that if any increase to the master fee schedule is done by a percentage, and then we're asking that it not to be exceed 5%. All in favor? 3, 4. 4, that's unanimous, or not unanimous, but it's a majority of the voting members, right? Yeah, so that's correct. 4 and 2, okay, thank you. Do we have to do opposed, or we have? Okay, all right, so 4 to 2, in favor of this. Thank you. Next slide, please. And moving on to the other, the clause was in former tenant agreements with the city, and it states that increases of rent tied to the current urban price index may be instituted yearly. Such increases shall not exceed 5% of the current rate. So we'd like to see this put back in there so we have some constraints on future increases to tenant rates.
So the reason we got hit, everybody knows, with the FAA, they came down, we had FAR 16s put against us. They hit us on a bunch of things, and one of the requirements was to redo our lease. So that lease was redone, it was approved by TxDOT, it was approved by FAA, it was sent for city council to be approved by. If you ask me, I do not recommend adding anything in there that limits the power of city council.
Okay, so I request a motion. I'll start to look for a second to recommend this still be included in the next any tenant agreements. You second it?
No, I just have a question.
Yes, sir.
So I'm pondering what you just said, Dickie.
Yes, sir.
So, one is, was this removed because the FAA required it to be removed? Because you just mentioned it went through TxDOT and the FAA was really hard on having to redo the leases.
Yes.
Was this a problematic statement from the FAA's perspective?
Not 100% for sure, but they just recommended that the consumer price index is out there, and that's what we should just base it off of. Which is 5%.
No, it's less than that. It's about 3% right currently.
3 to 5, I thought it was what it was.
Well, it's like 3.12, I think, currently, for the last 12 months. So we could,
Well, so let me ask another question. And while I completely, understand what you just said about your opinion not wanting us to tie the hands of city council.
Yes, sir.
I would say that should be a city council decision.
Correct.
Right,
Like you just
yes,
said, it was
yeah,
only my
exactly.
opinion.
Correct, okay, right, okay.
It was only
But I
my
was
opinion.
wondering I'm trying to, get behind the why on why you said
Yeah,
that.
I just recommend that council doesn't buy,
Okay,
put something in there that later they can't remove, or that limits their ability.
thank you.
They'll vote on that, not us.
Correct.
yeah, I mean, we're just
Like I said,
recommending.
it's only my opinion.
Yeah, we're
Right.
just making a recommendation.
We're just
They-
trying
They
to-
can throw it out if they want to.
Right.
As far as the board, I'm in agreement with the 5%.
Yeah.
Well, my only question is, when you rent a commercial building or a residential house, do you sign a contract that says they're not gonna increase the rent by 5%?
They
when you
increase
sign
it
up?
every year.
They increase it every year. I know anywhere, especially right now, it's going up like crazy. I think it finally shallowed out, but that's just my opinion on it. I mean, y'all can recommend it, but I'm not 100% on saying it on any type of rental that do not exceed this.
Well,
this
don't
percentage.
confuse for-profit rental
I
agreements
understand
in the commercial and residential world with what we are.
Oh, I
I mean, this is
understand that,
a
but
city,
it's still a contract.
And there's some for-profit rentals out there.
well, I understand that. But what we're,
And it sounds like it's done, but hopefully not. It's like that just, the $50, that put 23% on me.
right.
And others, it might be as low as 10%. I don't know if that's fair.
No, that's why, I mean, that's why we voted to make it a percentage. And if that's up to the city council, if they want to do the disproportionate, that's on them. But we're trying to make the recommendation to do it by a percentage. If it's even an increase at all. I mean, I think we've stated we're where we need to be, but that's up to the city.
I'm fine, I'm good with my old thing.
Yeah, I know, I like my old hangar too.
I don't want to increase any maintenance, I don't need any extra
Right.
costs associated with it all. I do understand they gotta go up.
Yeah.
But I'm in the old, I don't think 22% is fair.
No.
Compared to 14% for the nice ones.
Right.
And again, I'm not saying, if that's the case, then I'd like to discuss the process on when they become available. If I'm eventually gonna be getting 22% a year or whatever,
Well, hopefully, like you said, the city council has not voted to change it until later this month. So we need to move on from this. Greg?
Yeah, I propose or make a motion to forward this recommendation to city council, let them decide if this is something they're amenable to or not.
All right.
If it represents the board as a recommendation, then I propose we
All right, I
go
second
forward
the
with that.
proposal. All in favor of recommending the city council to include this in the next tenant agreement? All in favor? 4 to 2 in favor, so that concludes that. Thank you. Item 12, discussion regarding upcoming airport events. I believe this was Eric, you added this on there, it was not mine.
Yes, so just a discussion about airport events and upcoming events. So if we do have any events, we want to be there to help facilitate some of that. So with that being said, whatever event, that we have, we just want to make sure that it's planned out, so we can facilitate any logistics that might need to happen. Like, if there's, 200 people, we might need, more porta potties or something to that effect, right? Just to make sure that that we can support the amount of people that we have into the airport, and just make sure that everything that's, it's good with FAA and TxDOT Aviation. So that's the only discussion, I just want to have. So if we do something, any type of event, we just, figure out the 5 Ws with it, and just, so we can help facilitate, any event that happens.
Okay. Update on agricultural land.
I got a question.
Yep.
The Experimental Aircraft Association is planning a Young Eagle event. That's where we fly kids for free on November 1st, and I'll get with you more details. But we intend to fly 100 kids. So it's going to be a big all-day event. So I'll talk to you about the details that we're formulating right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Larry. Update on the agricultural land use. I don't have information on that, Mr.
So, yeah, I have a little bit of information on that too. So just an update on that, the agricultural land use, it was awarded to P2P Cattle, and so they have awarded that. We're still working in the RFP right now for that, but we just wanted to just update you on that. So it has been awarded. We're just trying to figure out all the contracts right now.
Okay, and who won the contract?
P2P Cattle.
P2?
Yeah, number 2, P.
Is it? Okay, so he has it now, doesn't he?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
It'll stay the same, it'll be used for cavalry.
Okay, all right.
That's the property that's on the
North
opposite side of 787.
Yep,
Not on the actual airport.
correct. Discussion, okay, anything else on that? I don't think that was it.
No, that's it.
All right, discussion and possible action regarding board meeting frequency. This item, I suggested, we used to meet once a month. Then the previous manager wanted to go quarterly. I thought that was maybe not frequent enough. With the changes and all, I don't know that we necessarily need to go back to monthly. What do you all suggest?
Bi-monthly.
Bi-monthly?
To me, that'd be personally, then we can get all the items hit on.
Yeah.
If y'all are comfortable with the bi-monthly meeting.
If you look at the history of the airport board meetings, prior to 2023, the airport board only met once, maybe twice in a year. And all that's online also, the
Right.
proof of that. 2023 is when all of the new board members started getting placed on, and that's when the city we got hit with the FAA, so we started meeting regularly. Then when we took it over in '24, we were meeting every month because we had a lot of action items that we had to get accomplished. And then after that, like you said, Julius, every month I think is kind of nonchalant, but
Yeah.
3 months is maybe too long, but maybe bi-monthly, like you said, was good.
I think that's reasonable. I mean, I think bi-monthly is, every month I don't think is, we can always call a special board meeting. If something is urgent, we can, but I think quarterly, we got, some new folks on the board and new managers, so Greg, did you have a comment?
I just have a question. I mean, to me, the real benefit of meeting more frequently would be for new employees and, you know, folks that are just coming on board, like Mr. Tipton and Eric and others, that at least from a front-loading perspective, if there's any benefit for them to meet monthly for 6 months and then go to bi-monthly, or, I'm just asking the question. I'm not uncomfortable with bi-monthly personally, but I don't want to, I think what happened is when we went to quarterly, we had so many new players, our opportunity to communicate needs evaporated. And so we got disconnected in a lot of ways. And I really would not like to repeat that again.
Right.
Bi-monthly may cover it, I'm okay with that, but I'm really interested in perhaps what the new folks would, do they need it more often, monthly or bi-monthly suffice?
I know Eric will ask a lot of questions if he does need information. I'm sure y'all have already found that out, but, so if there is something, he knows who he can go to and talk to, and then same thing with Lee. If he's not sure on something, he'll talk to who he needs to talk to also, so.
And at any time, you got, you know, a bunch of items and you're like, man, okay, let's get a meeting scheduled. You know, that's,
You can always
that
reach
easy.
out and we can do a special meeting if we
Yeah.
absolutely need it.
Yeah, bi-monthly sounds pretty good, and like everybody said, there's plenty of resources, like I've already done that so far, where, had to ask some questions and just reached out, you know, to, you know, you guys are subject matter experts, so, that's, glad we have that type of resource here, so, bi-monthly sounds good.
Okay.
And I'm available whenever
All
as
right.
well.
So then it's pretty much agreed that we'll, yes, Lori?
From a tenant point of view, we don't really know what's going on here, except these meetings. And it's, I've found over the last 6 months that it's very helpful to know what's going on at the airport when we have these meetings. So what that's for, I think for myself, probably some other tenants would say,
Right.
a monthly meeting.
No, but we could start.
I also been thinking about, you know, an idea of like doing, you know, like a newsletter, monthly newsletter, just to keep, you know, say what's going on, you know, what we got, you know, going on. So I'm throwing around ideas to keep, you know, the tenants informed on the things that we have at the airport.
That's the key, the communication, getting some of it here, but a newsletter on a monthly basis would be very helpful.
Okay.
One other thing that we could do is, I mean, when we get the agenda done, he can tape it to the front door, or front window, so then y'all can see that the date's posted also. If that newsletter don't get out, you know, forgets to put the date on it that we're having a meeting.
Right.
So y'all do have that, when y'all walk into the FBO, it's there.
And even if you're not able to attend, you'll see it on YouTube. You'll know where it's posted and everything, and the agenda to support it.
And I'm also trying to, I've done it the last 2 times, is send out, Larry was helpful in establishing an email list, and I've used that to send out notification of the meetings and what's on it. So we'll continue to do that. So, and with combination of Eric putting out a possible monthly newsletter, I'm good with bi-monthly if everyone else is.
good with that.
And if we feel like we need to do it more frequent or less frequent, we can cross that bridge when we get to it. You all good with that?
I'm good with bi-monthly.
Okay, so we don't need to vote on that, do we? That's just something we just, from
Yeah,
a
just
scheduling
go-
standpoint?
Schedule
Juanita?
it pretty much, that's it. If
Okay.
you want a special one, then you know, just reach out and make sure we
Right,
get people
yeah.
here.
And we, perfect.
One more thing before we adjourn. I appreciate all y'all tenants being here and giving us information and insight. For us that don't have aviation experience, and the board for coming on the evenings to discuss everything. So
Yeah.
thank y'all.
Yeah.
All right, I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Second.